Okay. This is the regular quarterly meeting of the Club Council. That's the people who run the various activities here in Oakmont. We do have one odd numbered guest. Jamie, I don't remember your last name. Academy. Jamie is from Oakmont Gardens, and one of her tasks, she says to me, is to help them better integrate into the Oakmont activities. So we're going to see what we can do to help her. But today's meeting is focused on communications, and I believe Jackie is going to take the first lead. And then there's some questions which I'll have afterwards.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Jackie Ryan, otherwise known as the Abominable No Man. I'm the chair of the Communications Committee, and I've been on the Communications Committee for, I don't want to say this, 9 years. I obviously don't have anything to do, but what came here today because we want everybody to understand how the club news and the events get into the paper, and then Chrissy's going to speak to the website and the digital newsletters of how you submit that. There is a publication policy. If you've never read it or are interested, it is online. I just submitted this morning some small edits to it. The policy addresses the paper itself, letters to the editor, club news, and advertising, which we don't accept, you might have noticed. But all of that is in the policy. In the newspaper, time was nine years ago when I started doing this. We had a staff person in the office who took in all of the club news and sent it to Agnes. Everybody know Agnes? Yeah, everybody knows Agnes. So Agnes is the publisher, and Agnes sets the pages, the number of pages that are in the paper each time. It used to be in the contract a long time ago. Christelle, I don't know if it still is in the contract, is it? It is. Does it still say 32? Yeah, well, it says 32 pages still in the contract, but that never happens. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened since pre-pandemic, because the pages in the newspaper are predicated on the ads sold, and the publisher has complete say-so over how she allocates the percentage of advertising and the pages that are available. In general, a good newspaper that's solvent will allocate at least 60% to ads. Very hard to run less than that unless you're charging outrageous fees for the ads. So that's what we're up against. And during the pandemic, obviously very few clubs submitted news. Their club stories, because nobody was meeting. Now it's picking up again, and that's great. We have, 170 clubs, is that right, Anita? Something like that. And every club gets a spot in the paper. The policy says that those clubs that submit articles can write 500 words, and it still says that. That is still there. 500 words is this. And they can also have 2 pictures. You can set 2 pictures in. And if you're having tournaments and you're the pickleball club or something like that, and you'd want to do 4 pictures, we'll work with you to cut your words down and give you more picture space. So that's how that goes. In the near future, if a lot of clubs keep submitting and we stay at the current page rate, I think we were at 16 pages last time. 16 pages. It goes in increments of 4. We can't have 18. The next would be 20. That doesn't leave a lot of room for all the clubs. So the Communications Committee, which has oversight of communications, will probably begin, if that starts to happen, we'll begin to look at adjusting those word limits. And That said, even without those limits, we try to urge club scribes to put all of your real information up at the top when you're meeting, what the program is, what time, all of those details, and then put in your club news. And that it just works better because people will see that and read it. The newspaper has roughly 1,500 to 2,000 inches. That's about 3 pages of news. We call that news. That might be administrative news. It might be stories about, board stories. Al Haggerty's in the back there hiding. He covers the board for every meeting and submits that story. And there's other stories like that. And those things go on page 1. Well, not all of them, but the news stories, we have the page 1 and then a couple of other pages. And the editors, every time the paper comes out, we make a decision as to what goes where. Agnes does all of the club news. And so the other thing that you should know about Agnes and club news as things get full is that Agnes has a little X-Acto knife. It's on computer now, but back in the day when I was a young reporter and you turned in a story, the guy from the back shop came out and said, I just cut off this much of your story. They would show you the printout and then they just sliced it. And Agnes will do that. She will do that when she runs out of space. So if you make sure that something gets in there, get the important stuff up at the top. And then if she cuts out, what color, was the most popular dress color at the meeting, it's okay. Maybe you lost a little bit, but it's okay. So that's about all I have to say about the paper. And then Chrissy will tell you about how the paper complements, supplements the digital part of our lives. And as you know, the paper is online as well. The actual printed edition is online. Any questions on the print and what you need to do?
Before we get there, let me mention for those who are on Zoom, you can both raise your hand and you can also use the chat to put a question in that you might want to address. And let me actually take a question. If it were important to Oakmont, could we buy 4 pages?
Yes, you can. That's a Christelle question.
Yeah. So no.
No,
I'm
you
saying,
mean-
and roughly what would that cost for an issue?
I can't answer that question because 4 pages, you mean to buy 4 extra pages is a tremendous amount of written copy.
I understand
Yeah.
that. I'm actually, you told us we had to do it in 4s.
Yes, you can
So
only.
my
right.
mind was saying,
You can
what's the cost of the 4?
increment in 4. I don't know. That would be a question for Agnes. And at the moment, I don't know what her rates are. So let's just say she's selling 1 page of the paper. I'm just making this up. Let's say she's selling 1 page of the paper for $1,000. So 4 pages of that, 4 more pages might be $4,000 cut in half by 50%. So $2,000. I mean, increments are expensive. But yeah, not impossible for sure. Yes.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Yes. The question is, do we know how many clubs have their own websites? Was that the question? I don't know that. Colin might or Chrissy.
No, I mean, we don't know offhand. Probably, of the 170,
I was just thinking that if the clubs with websites just put their information referring people to their websites, they'd get more information and it would take less space in the Oakmont News.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I would encourage clubs when you write for the paper, if you have websites, to direct the club there. And the same would go for any other thing that you'd want to highlight that they can get to online with just a little bit of caution in that when you put your website, oakmontboomers.com works. But if you put, when you click up at the top and you get one of those giant long things and you start to try to copy that for the that doesn't work. But if you know somebody like Colin, sometimes the Colin can, or somebody like him, I'm saying not him, but somebody like him can help you create a short, right? Isn't that right? A short link. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, using a website's a great idea. Yes.
Yeah.
I just have a comment from my club. We have a website and an e-blast, but we have members who don't have computers. And I have tried to edge away from putting everything in the Oakmont News just because it's easier to maintain it
Yeah.
on our website, and it didn't work. So it's a good idea, but it doesn't work quite yet.
Yeah, depending on the group, I'm sure. Um, Boomers, for instance, has had a website for a very long time. And it's easy to, to do that.
I do the membership of the Oakmont Boomers, and Mary has a really good point. Even though you think boomers are computer literate, many of them are not, and I can attest to that.
Yeah.
So we do need to have an article in the newspaper.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not suggesting that you would ever not do your newspaper in favor of the website. Yeah, the newspaper is great because it goes, remember, it goes to every home and it hangs around. That's why advertisers like back pages. Yeah.
And also, we get a lot of new members for the Oakmont Boomers Club because they see it in the newspaper and they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to join your club.
Exactly.
Let me come to your event,
Yeah.
see if I like it." And then
Right.
they end up joining. But because of that it's important to have it in the paper.
The only way to drive people to your web pages and to your digital media is especially there really there is no other, you've got to do it through traditional means, especially for people that are our age. Yes. Anybody else? I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, but real quick before I go into I just want to speak to that as well. When you're writing in print and if you're directing people to your website, which is totally, a good thing to do, but they're already in print, and for them to stop what they're doing, what they're reading, what this is interesting, and go to their computer. Me, who is on the computer all the time, I don't want to do that. Like if I'm looking at something, I want to know the information right there so I can plug it in. Like that looks interesting. I'm going to put that on my calendar. So that's why it's good, lead people to your website, but still, if you have an event, say what the date is, location, everything in your article. It's very important. So anyways, I'm going to start with introducing myself. My name is Chrissy Langwell. I am your new communications director. I started at the end of November, and this has just been such a wonderful place to be at. I got to tell you, everyone here is so nice. I have really nice coworkers, staff. It's been really good. And I'm absolutely impressed with all of you, because I got to tell you, when you hear of, a retirement community, a 55+ community, I'm thinking of no longer working, maybe I'll be out there on the, I won't be playing golf, but, doing something, more leisurely. And I see some of you guys working harder than anyone I know. So my hat's off to all of you. So my job is a little bit of everything. It's, doing a lot of things with communication, but I am currently more on the digital side of things. And my biggest baby is Inside Oakmont, which you guys receive every single Tuesday in your email. And I am receiving mostly club news. And so I don't know if I want to do a screen share or, well, let me just tell you the rules for Inside Oakmont, which most of you guys know, is you send in your club news so that it will go out in the e-blast, but also so it'll end up in the newspaper. And I am reading every single one of your articles. I am, and I'm editing it, mostly light edits. I don't want to change what your message is, but I want to make sure that it, it makes sense, that there's no grammar rules being broken. And we also have like just a way of things being put out there in print so that it's all, everyone's article has the same rules. So it's like 8 p.m. is going to be 8 lowercase p.m. I'm making things easier for Agnes so that when she gets it, it's as clean as possible and she can plug it in because she has a huge job and I want to lighten that load from her. We have deadlines for Inside Oakmont. I don't know if some of you guys are aware of this, but I send this out every Tuesday in the 9 o'clock hour. So our deadlines for Inside Oakmont is 3 p.m. the business day before. So that's usually a Monday, but if Monday's a holiday, that's a Friday at 3 p.m. If you're late, talk to me, send things in. I try to get everything in. But the other thing that some people don't know is Inside Oakmont is on the website all week long. Like, you may receive it on a Tuesday, but all week long, you can go to Inside Oakmont on our website and see all the things that are happening in our club. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, I'm going to screen share so you can see what you receive every Tuesday. Make sure. Okay. So this is what I send out to you every Tuesday. This is our e-blast. It used to be where we would tell you that Inside Oakmont has been published and you can now view it and you click a button, you go straight to the website. Now we're doing this a little bit differently where we are highlighting, well, first of all, this is this week's, we're highlighting the big things that are happening. So yesterday was the town hall. So that was at the top. We also announced our board candidates. So put that at the top. And then any other thing that OVA or, that you should have on your radar. And I threw in Valentine's things so that you guys can make your reservations early. And then we have our upcoming events. And in the upcoming events, I am including just this week's so that you're not seeing every single thing. You're just seeing the stuff that's coming up this week from Tuesday to Monday. So I'm not going to scroll through all these, but you can see all the things that we have going on this week. And then when you click here for more Inside Oakmont, that takes you to our website. And this is everything that's in Inside Oakmont. So when you submit things, this is where it's landing. So you can see some of the things that we have placed at the top, which is the meet the board candidates. So that's going to stay there. We have our facility updates. So anything that's happening in our facilities, this is where you're going to check what's happening right now. So like currently we have heaters that are down at the CAC for the pool. So, that was in our announcements. We got new phones for all the facilities and little reminder for dog owners. So that was this week's facility updates. I have in there right now Inside Oakmont submission process, which is kind of like your cheat sheet to how to submit and a little reminder for best practices. And just a couple more announcements on there. But then we get down to the club featured articles. And this is, this can go, right now we have events that are going all the way through April because that's what's been submitted. And every day I'm going through this, and as the events expire, I'm taking them off. So you can see the very first one is the club council meeting, which is where we're at right now. So I go through there and I do that. So with club articles, when you submit them, they're 500 words. On the website, we have more wiggle room, but we do that because this is, for the paper, we want that, we need the space parameters. When I edit things, I will often, if you have buried your event information, will move things up to the top. And when I do edit it, I try to make it as clean as possible so it looks like it was meant that way. So I'm not just like moving things around. If I have to do extensive edits to anything, I'll talk to you. Like I'm not just gonna chop things up. I cannot speak for Agnes. I try to work with you as much as possible because these are your words and this is your news, your event. And I want to make sure that you're getting the news out there to the community as best as possible. And I'm here to help facilitate that. I think most of you are familiar with how to submit, but in case you're not, let me see if I can get up there. We have a submit. Oh wait, first of all, I just want to, if you're not aware, if you go on the website, you can see where the menus are. There's Inside Oakmont, that's how you get there. And then here, when you hit submit, you get to the submit page. And you have here where you can submit to your club articles, committee, letter to the editor, and then newspaper ads, which will take you to information on how to reach Agnes for any newspaper ads. And that's usually outside companies. I don't know if other people inside the community ever do that. Yeah. So for club articles, when you submit your club article, you only have to submit it once to get into the paper and in Inside Oakmont. And there's an option, and I think most of you guys know that, but there have been times where I've received an article 2 times because someone's not aware that I'm getting that as well. Every time that you submit this, Agnes and I are both getting it if you have checked that you want it in Inside Oakmont and in the newspaper. So you don't have to submit it more than once. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Images for your club news. So on Inside Oakmont, you'll see that every single one of these has an image. If you have not given me an image, I will put an image on there. I would love your images more. Images that are original are always best because that's more interesting. We want to see you, like a stock photo. That's not very interesting, but a photo of your club meeting or fun things that you guys are doing. I mean, that's stuff that all of you like to see. Images that are stolen off the web. So if you go to Google Images and you just, find a photo on Google and you save that, that's not your image, that's somebody else's image. So you have to make sure you have the proper permissions to be able to use an image. You can go to sites that that have free images. My favorite is one called unsplash.com. Another is Pixabay. And if you go on the website at my submission process, I have links to those there. You can also go to Wikipedia, it has Wiki Commons or so there's places out there, free clip art. That's not my favorite, but that does exist. But we don't want your stolen images. And if there is something that doesn't have the proper permissions, I don't use it. I will switch to something else. And if you'd like me, if you're just, I can't think of something, but I'd like something for the paper. I've had people ask me that, can you find an image for me and give that to the paper? Absolutely, we can do that. She might not use clip art. I've done things where I've done things from Unsplash and she's used that. That has really nice photos. Let's see. Oh, Inside Oakmont is for events. And I think that some people don't know that because I get articles that want to be in Inside Oakmont that aren't attached to an event or just telling things that you did at your last club meeting, which is all interesting, but that's not for Inside Oakmont. Inside Oakmont, each article you can see here, Club Council, February 8th, 4 p.m. This is how people know when things are. But if you're just sending an article, I don't have a date to attach to that. And that's not what this page is for. So when you send me something that you want to go on Inside Oakmont, wrap it around an event. Tell me who your next speaker is, what your next topic is going to be. Tell me the date and time and location of where you're going to be meeting. These are all important things. Even if you think that your club knows it, people outside of your club don't know this. They would like to know this. This might be a good way to get a new member into your club. I don't think I have anything else. Yeah.
I'll work my way through the road.
So my question is, if you put something in Oakmont News and it goes into Inside Oakmont that is 3 weeks off, and is it a good idea to then submit something each week up to that time to kind of refresh people's memories about it?
I am,
Um,
oh, go ahead.
Well, that's really my question, because yeah, I just want to know, I was planning on kind of refreshing
Mhm.
the Inside Oakmont submission, but I don't know if that's a good idea or if it's not a good idea.
So I'm so glad that you asked that question, because your article is on this page, but it is always going to show up. Let me find your article. I think I just passed it. It's always going to show up on February 23rd at 6:30. So if you send me a refresh, it's still going to end up right here. And if you're telling me the same exact thing, I'm just swapping it out with the old one. So my suggestion is, if you don't have new news for Inside Oakmont, don't bother. Like, it's okay. It's on this page. And when you get to that week of the event, it's in our e-blast as well. You're getting some extra attention on it on the week that it is. I do want to mention, if you have a timely event that needs like RSVPs like way in advance, talk to me and I can put an extra little highlight on it just to make sure that we get some extra eyes on it. But yeah, I mean, you can do that, but I think that you might be wasting your time. And this is just as effective.
Can I add into that if I might? Chrissy, when there are events which require you to purchase tickets in advance, okay? And I saw that you had some of those for the Valentine's list, but is there any way to get those better highlighted than have them on the date that's the very first day of the event?
Not on the website. On the website, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. It's all done by date. So that's never going to happen on there. If you need an extra feature, come talk to me and I can, give it a little bit of a highlight. I cannot guarantee that. It depends on how many things we're announcing, but I'm very interested in making sure that if you have an event that needs that, extra attention, that it does get that.
Let me
Yeah,
expand
you
it a
go.
second. There are certain categories that are multiple events with one ticket. Think about the music at Oakmont, okay? Think about lifelong learning, where you sign up for a 6th class, okay? You might think about how those can best be handled, because
So what I do on those for Inside Oakmont is I actually do bump it down to the next date. Like, I don't just take it off. I will bump it. I'm not going to give it a super extra feature in our e-blast, but I'm going to keep it on the page so that, because the event is still happening.
that wasn't actually what I meant. What I meant was, I need you to sign up today for the GEMS class, which will be 3 lectures on lifelong learning beginning the 20th.
Okay, so on this, I'm doing it on the date of the event, not on the date of the signups. If there's a sign up date in that, I'm going to put that in the little teaser text that you see right here. I'll put, sign up by February 17th. But everything is ordered by the event date. Does that make sense?
It's understandable. I think it's a big issue for Oakmont.
Well,
because there are
yeah,
a
but
small number
it can
of-
also be confusing if you're changing rules for certain things, because when people look at this, they're expecting it to be for the date of the event.
But that's if they know that that's what they're looking for.
Mhm.
There are other times I might look for what are the lifelong learning classes,
Mhm.
which are Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Anyway.
So what I would suggest in that is, in these articles, if there's like a time sensitive thing, to make sure that that information is at the very top of the article, so that when they press on it, they know, oh, I have a time limit to sign up for this.
Okay,
Hold on just a second. Jackie, did you have something that you want to say?
Yeah, not exactly on this, but I forgot to mention that if your club has something that you think is page one news, now it's going to have to be like, you're bringing in a Nobel Prize winner to speak or something like this. But if you have something that you think is page one, get in touch with me. You can get, and always copy Chrissy, Marty Thompson, or Jim Brewer, so that we can evaluate that. And certain things might get a little box thing somewhere in the news section. It might not be page one, it might be page, but that's for a very special thing that you think you might have, that you want consideration for that.
I'd like to clarify something in my mind. If I'm submitting something for our Oakmont Singles Club, for instance, and it goes into the Inside Oakmont and also goes to the newspaper, can we submit a more enhanced item for Inside Oakmont where you can be more creative with a photograph or something like that than you
Yes.
can in the newspaper?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Just make sure that we can be more creative.
We do have, we still want you to make sure that you're getting your information across in a news format, in a way that's easy to read. But if you have more to add to it, like you want to add more words, you want to add more detail to something that won't fit in the newspaper and add more photos, absolutely, I would welcome that.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that, most of us are more visual
Yeah.
type people. And
No,
so
I would
will
love
get
that.
your
Yes.
attention.
We've stopped advertising in Inside Oakmont because we keep getting people that are not members of our club. And it's really kind of hard to have to say, this is not really where you should be. They're not guests of anybody. They would not qualify for the club because they're guys, at least the club that I run. Anyway, so how do I fix this, or can I fix this?
I mean, yeah, you can just put in there members only. I can't stop human free will, but that would be our best suggestion, is to make it very clear that this is for members.
I guess I can get up. Thank you. I think it's hard because we have many clubs that want more members, and then we have some that are full, or maybe, like you said, wouldn't qualify. So maybe the option that we can come up with is, members only, like tagline or something. And then I have some ideas for your questions, George, but we could recap after. I just want some clarity.
Any more questions from the audience? Oh, John, heading right over.
Hold on just a second.
I'm confused a little bit, or maybe just too dense. Could you just kind of take me or us through, if we submit something, here's a submission for an upcoming event, an upcoming meeting that is an event. Where does it go? Does it go in both pieces, both the Oakmont News and the e-blast?
Yes, so let me just walk you through it real quick. So you're going to go to the submit page on the website, which is, if you go into the news, you see the menu up here, you go to news, scroll down to submit, hit submit, and you're going to reach this page. Then you're going to go down to club articles, and you're going to press on that, and it's going to take you to a form. And if I'm over explaining, I apologize, but I just want to make sure I'm covering every base. You're going to put in all of your information here, your name, phone number, email, what your club is. And right here's where you're going to put, do you want to feature this in the Inside Oakmont e-blast? So if you hit yes, then yes, it's going to, if it qualifies, it's going to end up in the Inside Oakmont.
What is the qualification?
Qualification is that it's an event, that it has a date attached to it.
Okay, and if we say no, where does it appear?
It'll end up on your club page. So it won't end up in Inside Oakmont, but if you click on your club page,
It will
it's going to
end
be
up
there.
Inside Oakmont or not?
If it doesn't, if it, it's always it's gonna end up on the web unless we need to talk and there's something offensive in there, because we do have rules like you can't be political, swearing, any offensive, telling lies, like things like that. But you know that I have not run across anything like that so far. So if it doesn't show up here, and I will generally talk with you if it doesn't end up over here, so we can figure out something.
So if we put yes, it's going to end up in both vehicles. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then how far in advance? Of
For
the event?
Inside Oakmont, it's immediate, like as soon as I publish it, which is usually within 24 hours of you submitting it, bar the weekend.
And so the other for the Oakmont News is held for how long?
Oakmont News, well, I mean, it's in print, so it's as soon as it's printed, it's there forever. So our next one's February 11th. So that's when the next one comes, and the one after that is February 25th. Yeah.
Are you asking how, I'm not quite sure I understand the question. Are you asking how many times can you put your article in the Oakmont News?
No,
No. Okay. Are you asking, how do you get your article into the top part of the Inside Oakmont Tuesday e-blast?
I don't know about top part, but just
No, just in there.
from what I
in
understand
general.
from
Okay.
from Chrissy is that it's going to go in both. If we say yes, if
Okay.
we say no, it's not going to go in both. It's only going to go
Yeah.
on the
And
club news.
Jackie, I don't think you actually mentioned yet the 2-week advance notice, the deadline for the Oakmont News.
for the Oakmont News. The Oakmont News, it's really easy to remember the deadlines. The Oakmont News is published every second and fourth Saturday. The deadlines for the paper are the Monday following that Saturday. So when you get your paper on Saturday, the deadline is 2 days later on Monday. They're also published on the website. But that's really easy to remember, 2 days after that, and then it's for the next paper. And if you have, or is it wrong? What?
This week is February 10th. Because of holidays coming up. So this Friday is our deadline.
That's for editors. That's the problem. Okay. Oh, is it Club News? Okay. Oh, I see, because she's taking a day off. Okay. So you might want to check that, but if you have a question,
Maybe you can see why I need as much information.
No,
as
absolutely. And
possible.
also never feel like if any of you are confused with anything, even after this meeting, my office is always open.
Well, it
So,
sounds like if we say yes, it's going to go in both publications.
yes,
And the first publication is going to be the one that comes out that week,
yes.
the week following.
Yeah, with
we get
Inside
it, yeah.
Oakmont, it's always on there, but the e-blast, yes, it comes out every Tuesday. So whatever one is published first is the one, but usually it would be Inside Oakmont first because there's a longer deadline for the newspaper.
Correct.
So like our next deadline is February 10th. She's asking for your club news a little early this time because we do have a holiday this month. So this Friday is your deadline for the February 25th Oakmont news. But if you were to send this in on February 10th to end up in that, it would also be online pretty much that day or by Monday at the latest.
And the e-blast, what are we calling that e-blast? Oakmont e-blast? or
Inside Oakmont.
Inside Oakmont.
hmm
And once it appears there, if I heard you correctly, you'll keep it there, but it gets relegated down in terms of date.
Yes,
based
so
upon how
yeah,
long-
so it is ordered by date on the page. So the newest, the ones that are coming up are at the top.
Right.
And then, yeah, it goes by dates. So the later it is, the more down it is, but these keep moving up as dates fall off.
How many weeks do you keep on there prior to the event occurring?
I mean, it's pretty much everything. Any events that are in there. I mean, it's like I have one that came in for April 5th. That's going to stay on there until April 5th.
Okay.
So
thanks.
if you submit it early, it's there, but not everybody scrolls down all the way too. So don't think that people are getting more attention just because it's there. Robin has a question. Okay.
Hi. What is the official read right now on external events? I think of things like City of Santa Rosa is having an open house to inform people about the next generation of the general plan. Or the Schultz Museum is hosting a first day of issue ceremony for the latest peanut stamp. Just kind of general interest things or important community information things. Let's imagine, the next major meeting on El Noca from the city, or the next major meeting on Sonoma Development Center from the county, things like that. What's our policy?
Are you asking about the newspaper or Inside Oakmont?
Either one.
Both?
Sure.
Yeah. So Inside Oakmont, and we that isn't to say we can't go back there, but we used to at the bottom have a little section that said around town when it was the e-blast. And things that, it's all subjective, things that were deemed to be something that people in Oakmont might be interested in going to, like if Glen Ellen was having a 4th of July parade, we might put that in there. The newspaper has less space for that kind of thing, but if it were a city meeting on El Noca, yeah, sure, it would be in there. If it's a city meeting on land use in Mark West Springs, no, it wouldn't be in. So that kind of thing is subjective, but it's not. Again, right now we're so space limited that it hasn't been an issue. Yeah.
Chrissy, can you go back to the submissions page? Because there's a box there that I do not understand that says preview text or something like that. And I think the page where we have to put in all the information.
Okay.
There. Okay. I think there was, yeah, see that article preview
Okay.
text? I have no idea. what
So
that
see this text right here? Can you see that's the preview text. So it's this part right here is showing like a little teaser of what the article is about. Or if you have something important that you want to make sure is out there, it gives people another reason to click, or it gives people information if that's all they're going to see, and hopefully they will click to see everything else. But this is the important information to your article.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you on occasion compose that preview text? That's what I thought.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. If you don't put that in there, I'll put something in there.
That's also a good place to make sure that you've got your date, that your lead in sentence lets people know what it is. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. No.
You don't need the date in the preview text. No, because we already have the date on there and it already shows up. But if I have nothing to say about it, I will sometimes just repeat that as well. So there's always going to be something there.
I will tell you that one of the biggest complaints the committee gets about looking at the website, and Colin can tell you this too, from the years that he did it, when your information is not up there and people have to click, people don't like clicking. And I don't know why, but they don't like to open the piece. So the more that you can not have them do that in a short, brief way, it's just a suggestion.
Okay.
Hi, this is my first time writing an article. So my question has to do with the Oakmont blast. So if I want to put something that's not going to be till April, it looks like above, I have to pick website or newspaper before I can even click on blast.
Yeah, I'm not. Go ahead.
So I'll just stay here, I guess. The reason that it is set up that way is that your article can be published on the website independent of the newspaper. And so there is a club articles page, as well as Chrissy mentioned before, each club has its own page on the website. So when you publish an article through the submission form, it generally almost always ends up as an article on the website, but it may not, like, it's very, very rarely, I should say too, do we ever get articles submitted just for the website and not the newspaper? Sometimes just for the e-blast, but very rarely like just on the club page. That's not really anyone's desire because people aren't really visiting the club page or even the club articles page, which you can find underneath clubs on the drop-down menu. People are really visiting the e-blast page or they're reading the newspaper at home. So that option exists. Very rarely do people ever choose website only. That's not very common. But I would generally suggest to just check both newspaper and website, and then the featuring of your article in the e-blast, or sorry, the Inside Oakmont page, is kind of something that you would choose independent of that selection. Does that make sense? Am I answering that, or do you want to clarify that?
Not exactly. So again, if I wanted to put something that's way in April, I don't want it to appear on my website now or in the newspaper necessarily now. I want it to appear closer to the actual.
Okay, so what you can do is you can choose newspaper only. And if you don't want it to show up on the web at all, there's a place at the very bottom, any additional information you can put here, please do not post to website. And I won't post it to the website at all until you're ready to, and then you can resubmit for Inside Oakmont later. Either. Like, would you want, you're saying that you want it on the page with the date, like on the website, and then not in the e-blast? Is that what you're saying? Oh, yeah, no, yes, you can do that. So you just say not in the newspaper. So you say website only, and then featured article in Inside Oakmont, you say yes. And then go from there, and it will not end up in the newspaper until you're ready to, or if you don't want to at all, that's okay too.
If I may throw out there as well, to make things a little easier for Chrissy, you may also select both newspaper and website. When you check the box for newspaper or both newspaper and website, there's a drop-down menu that lets you select the date of the newspaper that you would like it to be in. So you can choose a date further out if you'd like. It'll go onto the website immediately, but it won't be published in the newspaper until that date.
Chrissy, if I have a preview text, can I put a link in there?
No. Our IT person says no.
No, no, you can't. I have a comment and a question.
Yes.
When I look at the e-blast, I see art, okay, this is going to happen on April the 4th. Great. I would really like to know what day of the week that is, because if it's not there, then I got to go someplace else and look on a calendar, see what day of the week it is. And I've made this complaint numerous times.
Okay, we can
maybe it's
change
just
that.
I take it back. It's a comment.
I think that's a great comment because I never know the days, attach the dates either.
I'm not going to speak for this demographic, but I think I'm pretty.
I think it's across the board. Awesome. Right.
Oh, we can check online. Yes, I have not checked online. Oh.
He asked, how many email addresses does Inside Oakmont go to? And it is a little upward of 3,000. Yeah, I haven't checked for today, but yeah, about 50%.
Yeah, it's about 50%, which I'd like to note is about 30% higher than the industry standard for mass email.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. All right. Did you say we had a question online?
We do not have any online.
Okay.
We're just wondering why you changed it from e-blast to Inside Oakmont, and you seem to use the two terms interchangeably, and you
It's-
drive us all nuts.
It is inside Oakmont, all across the board. It's inside Oakmont, but e-blast is like the universal term for an email that's blasting out to you, but it's all inside Oakmont.
Okay, that's the communications committee's fault. We
Aren't you on that?
own up, own up. It used to be called, for those of us who've been here a while, it originally was called Cassie's E-Blast. Remember that? And it was from the general manager called Cassie's E-Blast. And then it became just the E-Blast. And at some point last year or the year before, the communications committee thought, well, E-Blast is such a nothing name. So we decided to start calling it Inside Oakmont so that people, and of course, then somebody said, what about the stuff that's outside Oakmont? How can we get to that? So that's why we changed the name. But now Chrissy has made it different in that she's putting a newsletter at the top that pertains only to things happening this week. And then the rest of Inside Oakmont just rolls along and it's there until your event fades away. That help?
Wait, clubs here. I think I heard that 170 clubs. We got 18 in this room right now. I think it might be important to reiterate or go over or say what we just heard in terms of how this works, both from no, it's not really an e-blast. It's not Cassie's or Kessie's or whoever it was, e-blast. This is Oakmont News, right? And here's the top part of Oakmont News, and this is what this means. And here's where it goes.
Okay.
I think that would be important because
That's
I think the
that's a
comment
great
that this
idea.
gentleman made was really good. I went, oh, I didn't know that. Amazing. So in any regard, I have one other comment or question.
Okay.
In terms of I think I got 3 different notices from you within the last 2 days. And I went, gosh, what the dickens is going on here? But in there, I also saw that there was staff reports and I was going, what the dickens is that? So I hit that. It was in the El Noka announcement, which was the second El Noka announcement, I think. But then it had staff reports and I hit that. What is that? What is staff reports?
I'm trying to remember what that was.
Was this in the newspaper or in the e-blast? In the Inside Oakmont?
It
Where you
was
saw
an email-
News
it was an
staff
email-
report is what it said.
Email
News-
that went to everybody on the email
news-
list.
The newspaper. Yeah, that when you clicked on the article for that.
No, Jackie, that's not what it was. It was an email received by all people who are on the Oakmont email list.
Was an, okay, thank you. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about this thing where it says Oakmont News. So Oakmont News Alert goes out as an email to your inbox telling you that there is a news story that has been posted. A news story, not a club news or an event. It is a news story that happens in between the editions of the Oakmont News. So when something big happens, like El Noka is sold or whatever.
The heaters go out on the pool.
I'm sorry?
The heaters go out on the pool.
Well, that would be yes, Chrissy would probably put that out as a separate notice if it was something that you needed to know right away, and that would be an administrative notice. But when you see the banner Oakmont News, It's a news story that has happened in between the editions of the printed Oakmont newspaper.
Thanks for that explanation. I think that might be also something that
Yeah,
would be worthwhile to put out to the
I agree.
3,000 or whatever it is people that get this.
Okay, like a cheat sheet to Oakmont News and Inside Oakmont.
Okay, I'm going to recommend we go on to the two other questions that have been put forth by the audience to be tackled today, and then we'll open up to general Q&A. Would you give the microphone to Bev?
Always near the end. You know, I'm sorry, I'm Bev Levy, and I'm here from representing the Volunteer Resource Committee. And we're fairly new, and we just keep saying, hi, we're here. Step back for just a second and listen to the conversation here. My training was all with little pieces of iron that we made the newspaper with in a print shop. I think we're doing an incredible job keeping up with the digital world. I mean, I think we really deserve a lot of credit. I'm here for two reasons. One, I wanted to invite you to the March 1 open house. It's our first open house exploring volunteer opportunities with new residents primarily. And the other reason is because we have coming up before our next club meeting, we have what's nationally called Volunteer Appreciation Week. And that is April 19th to the 26th. And our committee is charged with finding ways to show appreciation of volunteers, bridging the gap between the needs and the openings, and how do we show our appreciation? So one of the first things that our committee did was do some research on, well, how do we show appreciation? I mean, we all know that Oakmont is being run, excuse me, staff, by volunteers. So how do we show our appreciation? And it was really interesting to see what the research said. And because we have volunteers within our club, all of our clubs, what's the best way to recognize them? And we found that research said when younger volunteers expect or hope for recognition, it's through things like letters of recommendations, awards, acknowledgement, more public, more in their career path. When seniors, when retirees volunteer, they want, and 80% in all the surveys, 80% of volunteers really would like thanks, just, hey, good job. And the other most important thing our volunteers want is, where do we fit in the scheme of things? Where do we fit in? Are we important in our community? And a thanks along those lines. So in line with volunteer appreciation, if you do anything in your own club, keep in mind that a simple thank you for us seniors seems to go the furthest. Along those lines, we would like to do something really we haven't done before in Oakmont. And I'm not going to exactly tell you what it is. I'm just going to tell you what your part is. And what we would like from every club is to identify someone in your club you'd like to acknowledge, say thank you to. And it could be for something like, this person is the one that always makes the coffee, or this is the one that
This is the only person in the club that knows everybody's name. I mean, it could be any way that this person is special. We would like to have from every club, one person identified, have the club director, head, whatever. Send it a sentence or two to us, preferably with a picture, but we can send out and get a picture. And we'd like it very, very brief, a sentence or two, sending it to one of two ways, either volunteers at oakmontvillage.com or slip it into our folder. We'd like this within the next month, and then we're going to do something fun with it. Thank you.
Okay, last scheduled thing, Virginia, you're on. Here's the microphone.
When I got my email about this meeting, and it asks, would you like to bring something up? It was like, it's me. Yes, of course I do. So what I was thinking is, 2030 is so big right now in Oakmont, and it's mostly discussing what we think our needs are going to be. But we have a lot of needs now that are going to go on until we build out. And I'm kind of just from my experience saying in Oakmont, it's going to take 8 years at least for shovel to the ground for any kind of improvement going on with permit processes and Oakmont processes and just the history of Oakmont. But we have a problem right now with our facilities right now, and that is we don't have enough time, space for all the groups coming in. And when you mentioned 160 groups, I had like 140 on mine. It's just an enormous amount of logistics that have to go into the scheduling. And between now and when something new comes into Oakmont, I'm assuming we're going to have more clubs forming, like Bev's new club coming in. And maybe we'll have a Generation Z club coming in soon, or maybe we're going to have something different. But what we do know is there's going to be more need on the facilities than we have right now. And right now we are booking out, I think, altogether. So I think it should be an interesting topic for the clubs to discuss, because out of 160 clubs, I bet many of them can merge into one. I bet there are clubs that haven't had a meeting either in Zoom or live since we opened up. I think there might be clubs that are down to just a few members. And I think I'm just bringing this topic up because we have like a lot of years to go before we get a new facility, if we get one, or more space. So how do we as clubs look to help the staff on scheduling all these logistics? And I'm thinking that we might want to start talking about merging clubs, getting rid of some clubs, having some amount of people who have to be in a club for a facility to be scheduled. And then also, of course, the introduction of new clubs that they're not going to get timeframes probably that they want. I mean, when you think prior to pandemic, how many Christmas parties were being thrown here? I mean, every facility, every night, something was going on. And wouldn't it be nice if we could have like combined a couple of those smaller clubs where they actually had a nice party, a big party? But I think it's something that we have to be aware of when we're forming clubs. And as we look at clubs, is we have to look at the fact that we don't have enough club space in Oakmont right now to facilitate. And what are we going to do over the next 8 years while we're waiting for something bigger to come in? That's a topic I'd like to see the clubs address.
Any comments either from the panel or from the other club leaders?
At Oakmont Gardens right now, we're in the middle of a renovation and we're almost done. We should be done. They said 3 weeks. I'm going to say 6. But with that said, we do have space. We don't have huge spaces, But in all of our other buildings, we love to have people come in. So if you have smaller groups, we have space that people can use and we don't charge for it. So, I mean, we probably have a space about half the size of this room that we could use for events. And then we also have a theater that we're putting in, a small one. So just something to keep in mind if you guys need extra space.
Round of applause for that.
Okay, any other topic anybody wants to bring up at this meeting? Somebody check online to make sure there's nothing there.
Check now.
Okay, the answer is no. Okay, we'll have a next meeting in May. Does anybody have a topic they would like that meeting to focus on? Or do we leave it up to Christelle? Oh. Well, I'm looking for comments. Oh, you mean for the next meeting?
Show of
Okay,
hands.
let me expand on that if I might. I am quite confident Anita gathers tons of information, much of which is in her mind, some of which is in analytical form. Would it be unreasonable to suggest in May that there might be a presentation on what it is that Virginia suggested? We look at the clubs, which ones are active, utilization, membership, okay, all of that stuff.
I would really think it'd be a great topic to talk about because there is a lot of clubs that are starting to meet in certain rooms as a reoccurring, but then now they're getting this idea, oh, we want to meet in another room as well. So then that takes away from another club and it's getting bad. So I think we should go in that direction because there is some clubs that I can think of that could combine together. Definitely. Yeah. Right. Definitely, for sure. I think it'd be odd. And I think we should, if there's a few of us that want to get together and we could start talking about this and get it ready.
Christelle,
So-
could you, is that okay with you? Yeah. Okay, Anita, could you maybe give us a paragraph description of what you think we might do in May? Send it to me. Okay. Sounds like a good topic.
Okay, I just want to say that I just spent several months and many hours working on the 2030 Space Committee. And actually, one of my ideas was to go Oakmont Garden and see if they might have some spaces for small meetings. So I don't know if that's a duplication of effort, because I haven't carried on with those meetings, but it might very well be that that's part of what's going on in planning for the future through the 2030.
Okay, unless there's something else we want to cover, we'll see you in 3 months. And then I thank you enough. And Jamie, delighted you were able to join us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like it. I don't know what you're doing. You know what?
So we're gonna put it on the club article that we have for this. We're just gonna put it on there and it'll be in the videos link. Oh, yeah, yes.
And then I send you all these.
Then, yes, about. Awesome. So I'll get that in there tomorrow or whenever.
Probably tomorrow.
Okay. Right, the banner over here.
No problem.